Triple M NRL Journos show, doing it remotely today. Adam Peacock here in Australia, but Danny Weidler is in London. Danny Weidler, 9 News, what's doing?
I'm in camp with the Kangaroos, Adam. I'll give you all the inside information.
And Michael Chammas from the Sydney Morning Herald has just arrived in the UK as well. Chammy?
Do me a favour, Danny. Keep it brief, mate. I'm 48 hours, no sleep, jet lagged, ready to go to bed. Let's get through this, baby.
Here we go. Boys, good to see you from the other side of the world. Firstly, Danny, I'll go to you because you got there first. You're the most professional and least jet lagged. How are you?
Million bucks, Adam. $1 million. The only dampener on my trip to London is that Michael Chammas has arrived. He's brought the mood and the vibe.
Boys.
Chammy.
I heard you had a pretty good trip. Over here, Danny.
Excellent trip, Michael. Yes, thank you.
That's good.
Better than you.
Yeah, 6 a.m. flight out of Sydney.
You look very tired, Michael. Very tired.
Oh, you know exactly how tired I am. He had to deal with me today. He took me out to the press conference. I'm on a 48-hour no sleep. I arrived in London at 7 a.m. It's now 8:45 at night, and we're doing this podcast. And I've got all the way through. Don't do this violin signals that you're doing in the background.
Play the violins.
My eyes can't even stay. Look at this. It's not good. This is not going to be a good video for everyone. Anyway,
it's a great video.
Michael, the thing is about international travel is when you actually go overseas, there's a fair chance that when you land early in the morning, you probably need to stay up. So this was probably always on the cards when this trip got confirmed. So
I've soldiered through this, and Danny was having a few cracks in the car, saying toughness is not one thing that I associate with you, but I toughed it out, boys. I'm still standing 13 hours later.
Adam, he was saying to himself, "Don't get sick, don't get sick, don't get sick." As we're driving, as we're leaving for the stadium today, I was just telling him to have a little nap. We're actually driving back with the great bullfrog Richie, who I've spent a lot of time with over the last week or so, because we've been here since the start, in camp with the Australian side in Kensington, in London, and it's actually been really good. It's been really good. The boys have been very cooperative. We've had pretty good access to the players, and I've had a few fun moments with them. I took a couple of boys sightseeing, Harry Grant and Hudson Young. I took them to Buckingham Palace.
That doesn't sound right.
What, sightseeing? That's okay. We caught a cab.
I took a couple of boys sightseeing.
Chammy, you're a sicko.
Danny,
it doesn't sound right. Like you're an old bloke.
Danny, has there been a moment where any of the players have gone down the path of the great Luke Rooney back in the day, where he said, "I don't like this joint very much. There's no tabs or anything like that." Like when he travelled to Europe.
No, there hasn't. But they're all. I think they're all. Yeah, it's a big eye opener. London. It's you know what it's like, Adam. It's a big city. It's got a lot of history. You know, taking Hudson to see Big Ben and Harry to see, that sort of area. They were just amazed at how those structures were built, and as am I, to be honest with you. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time in London, and just the history around the place is fantastic. The boys wanted to ride those Lime bikes back from Buckingham Palace, and I thought, not on my watch. I'm not going to be responsible for two of the Australian players coming
what
a crop
an idiot. Let them ride the bike. Let them fall.
No
That's
way.
The story.
Oh, no, I'm not going to create a story with an injury with a bloke on my watch when I've taken them out somewhere.
On my watch. Listen to this bloke, mate.
Well,
you just took a photo with them down to the water. Relax.
Where's your tracksuit, Danny?
Chammy, you take a couple of boys out of camp and, players out of camp, you're responsible for them. I just wanted to get them back safe and sound. I had quite a few of my friends sledge me. They usually sledge me over, but the fact that I was wearing a seatbelt in a London taxi, you could see that. But I wanted to make sure you could see that, so narcs out there wouldn't be criticising me. Instead, I got criticised for wearing a seatbelt. I didn't know it's not the thing in London.
Exactly. Anyway, so set the scene over there. So they train a bit out of town, and then the rest of the time they're treated like adults. They can go and do what they want to do. What about the interactions between Gordon Tallis and the members of the media? I'm looking at you, Chammy. Anything else to report from over there?
First person I bumped into today when I rocked up at the team hotel was Big Gordy.
Yeah.
Looking good. Gordy with his, what do they call those hats? The beret, what are they called?
Like
beret?
a Peaky Blinder sort of.
Yeah, he looked like something out of Peaky Blinders. It was good. Man, Gordy and I are fine. We patched things up after the little radio altercation, but no, we're good. We're good. I'm looking forward to going at the training and seeing how they handle it. I asked Nathan Cleary about Gordy, and he said he's been great to have around the team and just getting, saying the right things to the players, making sure they're in the right frame of mind and helping out Willie Peters in terms of the coaching. So Danny's been around a lot longer than I have. As I said, I haven't been to a training session yet. So
a couple of little stories, Adam. First of all, I had a drama on the trip. When I was in Dubai, I went and bought a coffee. Cost me $28, which is unusual. I don't know how I bought a $28 coffee, but I did. And then Gordy, look, I've had a few issues with him around the place, but he's been fine. He's actually been good for the side. He's quite a calming presence. He's got a good story to tell at most times. He's been filling in on the wing as well in training sessions because numbers to have the proper opposed sessions. So Gordy's played on the wing, and we've learned all about that too. You know, he came face to face with Mark Mwanganitawase at one point, and he stopped in his tracks. He didn't want to take on Mark, and also the local the team photographers also had to fill in on the wing a couple of times as well, and
we might get a start by the end of the tour.
Chammy, you will. I can't move. I think, Chammy, you'll get a start, I reckon. And I reckon I know who might want to iron you out as well.
I don't play on the wing. Oh, please. Hey, how's the team looking, in all seriousness, ahead of a pretty big occasion on the weekend?
Well, look, from what we've seen, good. I've watched every session they've done. And they've done quite a few now. They even trained straight after they got off the plane. Unlike Michael, they fought through jet lag and were very brave. But they trained the next day and they've looked good most of the time. I don't think that they're loving the travel aspect of because we're staying in London and they're training at venues, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes away without traffic. London traffic can be a problem, and I don't think they're loving that part of it. But apart from that, I think it's going pretty smoothly. We've had, there's been no touch wood injury concern at this. There's 4 debutants picked, which is exciting, really exciting. I'm like, I mean, Chammy and I are both, obviously for Reece Walsh to be picked. I feel for Dylan Edwards, but Dylan's handled well from what I can see. And it's exciting to see that side taking shape. And we're really in a very privileged position, Adam, to be, sharing time with these guys and also, seeing them train. We're not being kicked out of training sessions. We're being invited into weight sessions. We haven't been invited to any of their dinners or drinking occasions, which I think there's been 1 or 2. But apart from that, it's been pretty much access all areas.
I'll tell you who did invite me tonight. Bulldog Richie, your mate, just called me before and said, do you want to go for ice cream? I'll get you one if you don't want to come out. So, lovely guy, Bulldog. I stepped out earlier. I saw Regan Campbell-Gillard in the streets.
Did you?
Said hello to him there. He must be over here preparing for his London Broncos stint. So, he was walking the streets. I caught him there with Patrick Carrigan and Keon Kaloa-Matangi. So, look, there's a bit of a vibe going around at the moment from what I've seen. A few rugby reporters today out at the press conference. I think there's going to be 60,000 at Wembley for the first test, and then second and third tests are sold out. So, exciting, boys. Exciting as you
sound excited, Chammy. Jeez.
Hey, just back the bus up there. You say rugby reporters at the press conference. Did anyone ask about R360?
Oh, I don't, Chammy, you weren't at the presser, which is not unusual for you. You know what?
I went to the press conference.
He went to the press conference and wasn't at the press conference. I don't know where he was.
I was doing other things.
It's just, and that is on point for Chammas right there. Like, I'm left holding the fort for him, and I'm looking around going, where's the mosquito? And the mosquito wasn't there. He was buzzing around annoying somebody else. And
I was annoying Cameron Munster about Jonah Pezet.
Okay.
Oh, so hang on. This is a classic Chammas tactic, I reckon, at press conferences. Everyone goes in, piles in, everyone gets the cameras there, tape recorders on the desk, set press conference, Chammas, no interest there. Harvey Norman, thanks very much. I don't care about that. I'm going to go and find something else while everyone else is occupied. Is that the tactic, Chammy?
Look, it is generally the tactic. This wasn't the case. This was actually advice from the media manager who said, mate, we're going to have to duck off pretty quickly after we finish this press conference. So if you want to grab these guys, maybe grab them now. And I thought, you know what? The Kings, as he said, he's holding the fort. He's there and everyone else is recording this. So there's going to be nothing new in it. I'll try and go and get my own stuff while I still can. I did catch up with Cameron Munster. He was really, really very interesting. We'll get to that later about Jonah, about himself and what's happening at Melbourne. And then also caught up with Nathan as well. So, and Big Tino. So a lot of these guys have been given a lot of time. I think that, like, if you look at the way that these tours are, obviously there's a focus on the game, and we're obviously really keen to focus on Australia, but there's also an element of, because of the time period, because of November 1, like, how do you sit down with Tino today and not ask him about what's happening in, 9-10 days time? Like, he's a free agent. He said the right thing, said that absolutely nothing. He said that he focused on the Ashes and hasn't given it any thought, which, I find that hard to believe. But
well, Michael,
that's the hard part.
While you're talking about Tino, the feeling I get from him is that he wants to see how things work with Josh Hannay or Craig Bellamy, whoever it's going to be. But he wants to see how it works, right?
Yeah.
And but I get the distinct feeling he's sick of not winning. I think he's at the point now in his career where he wants to start being in a winning side, and that's what's going to determine his next move. I think he's really over that whole, bottom of the ladder sort of situation with the Titans. And unless, I think more than anything, that's what's got to improve. Forget, Craig Bellamy or whether he's in the future or not. I think he wants to start winning, and that's what's going to work out whether he stays put with the Titans or not.
Jamie, you got anything to add there?
No, I was just. I think
he's having a micro sleep
with Tino. No, actually, sorry. I know we're taking the mickey out of the situation, but I am actually starting to hallucinate and things. I can see things in the background. I think Gus just walked into my room.
You get to use your toilet and take another picture.
There's a shiny door. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I will say,
we'll leave Chammy out for a second. Adam, I want to give you a wrap. So I had a bit of reaction to this podcast from within the Kangaroos coaching arena, and they're Adam Peacock fans.
Arena.
Really?
They're Adam Peacock fans. They're saying what a talented host you are, listening to various... this is not a stitch-up, it's the truth. It can't just all be about the people's champion, Michael Chammas. They're saying they enjoy the pod and they particularly enjoy Adam Peacock. So there you go, Adam. I had to get that wrapped to you before anything else.
Happy days. I'll move on before Chammy can bring that back down to earth.
No, you make us.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what we'll do, we'll loop back to the Ashes a bit later on, a bit of international news with Hammer, and also look ahead to 45,000 people going to Suncorp for Samoa Tonga on the weekend. But just on the player market, let's get to the big story that has kind of dominated things in this part of the world for the last 24 hours, is quite possibly one of the weirdest deals of all time. And I will say this right now, that Braithen Astor must be some kind of genius to kind of get Jonah Pezet into a starting position at Parramatta for 1 year and then line up his next deal off the back of that on the assumption that Adam Reynolds, a well-held assumption that Adam Reynolds will retire after next year and he'll be a Brisbane Bronco for life. Guys, has this been bubbling away for weeks and now it's kind of come out, or was it a well-held secret, Shammy?
Yeah, I jumped off the plane when I landed and I heard the news that it was done at Well, it's not done, but going to get done at Parramatta and the Broncos. I read that the Brisbane had come in late after the grand final. I was actually with some Parramatta officials tonight. I caught up with some out here. They're on a study tour at the moment. Jason Riles, Jim Serentinos, Mark O'Neill and Matty Beach, the chairman. I was just caught up with them for a Coke just to get the energy levels up, and we're just talking about Jonah. Like it's not done, but one thing that is clear is that it's actually their priority for him to be there for 1 year because they don't want to block the path of some young kids coming through.
Who are those young kids?
It gives them a chance to. I don't know too much about them. They obviously got Joe Ash, but that's not who I'm talking about. Joe Ash Papali was going to be there 6 next year before they bought Jonah. So it works well for them until those younger guys come through. They're pretty happy with what they've got coming through the system. And for Brisbane, well, the 12-month stopgap is good for them because it gives Adam Reynolds his swan song. Ben Hunt will be pretty much close to it as well at that point because, if you got Ezra in 27, if you've got Ezra Mann, Ben Hunt, and Jonah, you probably won too many. But then again, Ben Hunt by a stage could be playing as a utility off the bench. Who knows what his role will be? I think he's a tremendous player. His preference was to stay at Melbourne. There's no doubt about it that he wanted to stay there. And even speaking to Munster today out at Wembley, he's had some conversations. He admitted that he had some conversations with Melbourne about moving to fullback, and that depended on what Ryan Pappenhausen did. I get the sense from Munster that Munster. Melbourne spoke to Munster about moving to fullback and accommodating Jonah Pezet in the halves, and that led to a conversation around Pappenhausen perhaps leaving immediately to go play Rugby 360. I got the sense from Munster that he feels that Paps is strongly considering heading over to play rugby union. He said he doesn't begrudge him that if he went and did that, given the money that could be on the table for Ryan Pappenhausen. And the other part to this was his thoughts on Rugby 360 in general and the NRL stance. He doesn't believe that the NRL has done the right thing by the players here. Big fan of Peter V'landys. He wanted to make that clear that he's appreciated everything he's done in the game, but he wasn't a big fan of this decision to block the players from earning opportunities elsewhere. So, but about
Kelly, I don't think any of the players are. Look, I've talked to a number of the players, in the last week or so. I've like you bump into them around the place, and they're all rolling their eyes a bit about the idea of 10-year bans and this sort of thing, particularly for off-contract players. I mean, maybe if you're an on-contract player and you got to break a contract, perhaps you can be punished in some capacity, which, maybe you can't argue with that. Off-contract players who have the right to earn a living and create a future for their family, the players aren't happy about that. They're not, and they're not all about to jump ship, but they're just the idea that their movements are going to be restricted in that level by that level of ban has not gone down well. And
but who's gonna change? Who's gonna be the one, Danny, that fights this? Like, I don't know if there's anyone. How long will it take to fight in court? How much money are they going to spend to fight it?
Yeah.
And by the time they do it, they're not. They wouldn't be coming back in the game anyway. And we saw with Jack DeBell and the toll that it took when he fought the NRL on the no fault stand down policy. They took that to court to stop the NRL from imposing that new policy on Jack DeBell, and then he lost in court. So. And you would have spoken to Peter V'landys, Danny. Like he's very confident with the legal advice that they've got.
Well, he's confident with everything he does, not just legal advice.
Yeah.
So he doesn't go off without half cocked or without some sort of basis of a legal basis. But I'm just telling you, the mood from the playing group is one of why should our ability to earn money be restricted? And why should we be punished if we're a free agent? And I can understand that. And I'm not an advocate for R360. A long way from it. I have almost zero interest in the concept of R360, and I don't think. I mean, just like Live Golf, I don't watch that. I don't think I'd watch R360 either. Maybe out of curiosity to start with, but that's about it. So I'm not saying here that R360 is a great idea, but the idea of restricting players' earnings is not a great one from my point of view, and I know from the players' point of view.
Just back to Jonah Pezet on the Parramatta thing. So they're completely comfortable with just kind of almost developing or helping develop a player for Brisbane because they feel that they can get something big out of 2026, Chammy. Is that the vibe?
Yeah. Well, unless they're lying to me, they seem more than comfortable with the situation. They could have tried to sign him on a long-term deal, but that wasn't what they attempted to do. And maybe if they signed him and he hadn't signed with Brisbane, it could have led to him staying at Parramatta, but that's not the case. And they're very happy that they get him for 12 months. So I think he'll learn a lot as a player. I don't know how it will go for Parramatta. I think Parramatta will be a fringe top 8 team next year, if not a top 8 team. But his development as well, outside of Mitchell, Moses, and then going to play at the Broncos, I think this kid's the real deal. I really do.
Adam, I caught up with Mitchell Moses today and asked him about it, and he said, look, he didn't know everything about the deal. I don't know how heavily involved he was in any sort of negotiation. He may or may not have been, I don't know, but he was also quite comfortable with him coming for a season, and he's, the players rate Pezet highly. They see him as a player of real worth and value. And, Parramatta could do... Look, they showed some good signs this season that they're a team on the up. And with a guy like Pezet there, they suddenly emerge as a potential top 8 side, maybe more even, if he can have an instant impact with that club.
Any other... Your favourite word, Danny, scuttle about any other players before we loop it back to international footy?
No, that was the main. Like, I mean, I was speaking about Tino. I've sort of been wondering what was going on there, and also that story about Pezet as well. They've dominated, and it's interesting with Munster. I mean, now if that happens, like we think it will, where does that place the Perth Bears all of a sudden? Because weren't we being told that Perth are going to be the team who makes a big play for Munster? So I think that's interesting for them.
Chammy, do you need us to take a break for a little micro sleep, or you got anything to add there?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's come back after the break. Cheers.
Back with the Journos edition, and with Danny Weidler and, well, Michael Chammas with a Cooper Cronk-like grand final. I've got a broken scapular performance here. He's here, but he's not here. So he's doing really well to stay awake. Hey, in all seriousness, Chammy, you caught up with the England coach ahead of this weekend's game, Shaun Wane, to discuss the inflammatory words of Aaron Woods, which I was sitting in a studio at Triple M last week, I think it was, and played him the rev up that Shaun gave his squad a few months ago ahead of the Ashes. So a bit of tip. This is shades of Aaron Woods flaming things before Origin with Billy Slater. What did the English coach respond with?
Well, he was a really good sport about it, Shaun Wane. I actually like Shaun Wane. My dealings with him, I found him really good to deal with. I feel like he understands the way it works. He was more than happy to talk about it. I'll read out the quotes to you because they were quite funny. He said, I asked, what'd you make of Aaron Woods lighting the fuse? And he said, who's that? Then he said, I know that he's paid to be controversial. I wouldn't have thought he genuinely meant it, but that's up to him. I watched him play as well. So, he's had a dig there, old Shauno. And then the one thing that he did say is that it's been spoken about amongst the players. He said it started off with his daughter sending it to him. And they're very protective of him. They were offended by it, and that the players had been speaking about it. I mentioned the Billy Slater thing to him, and he, well, it was tongue in cheek, but he did actually say that He says, been mentioned. We'll find out on Saturday, but if we do get that victory, it's going to be down to him. So Woodsy, he might have, if they do go and get Australia,
he's done it
not
again.
only is Queensland after you and New South Wales, you could have whole of Australia after you too.
But you know what? You did it the right way too, Chammy. I thought you showed some class by at least giving him warning. You went up and had a chat to him beforehand and said, "This is coming at you." And he was a good sport. Like he's I don't know him at all, but he seems like a good guy, Shaun Wane, and sort of guy who the players would really like. And you know, he's got a tough job in bringing this English side together. And some comments which probably haven't had the level of Aaron Woods' comments, but probably deserve some closer scrutiny, have come from George Williams, who, paraphrasing him, he has said that that the Australian players from when he was out there value state of origin more than the green and gold jumper. And I put that to him today in a one-on-one, and he did back away a little bit from it. He said, he's taken a little bit out of context, but he said that might not be the view of all the players, but it's an interesting thought that, you know, the English are trying to put out there, that maybe our players, Chammy, you awake there, or you're going to fall asleep?
Yeah, no,
Chammy, that our players maybe don't value, you know, playing for Australia as much as Origin, and they're obviously niggling a little bit in trying to get at the Australian players that way as well.
The old taken out of context. I haven't heard that one in a while, actually.
Taken out of context.
It's funny. It's funny when Danny talks about like how we handled today, because when we got out of the car at the press conference, I actually said to them, like, surely we'd have to ask Shaun Wane about Woods' comments. And I said, but listen, I'm too tired to be taking the first hit up at a press conference and having the great Shaun Wane look at me like I'm an idiot. Because it made quite, what I was saying to Danny and Bullfrog was that
Bulldog,
he's probably going to turn around and say, I haven't seen it. I haven't, and make me look silly in some capacity. So when he walked into the room, he came outside. We were in the stands at Wembley, which is impressive, by the way. And he walked past and he was gibbering away. I said, Shaun, you got a question? I've got one coming at you about Aaron Woods. And then he said, he started laughing and talking about it. So I was like, okay, that was my in. Even though I didn't go to the press conference, I got him later at the end again.
But you did it the right way, Chammy. I think it was fair to give him warning. Even though he knew about it, I think it was a good way to do it.
Well, how he responded to my line of questioning was going to determine whether I followed through in the end. So he's a good sport.
Boys, down in this part of the world, the Pacific Championships have started. The Australian women start their campaign this weekend. Last weekend, New Zealand in the men beat Samoa, edged them out over there in New Zealand. 45,000 people going to be at Suncorp Stadium. It's going to be one not to miss. I think it's on Triple M, actually. You can hear the call. They're doing the call from up there at Suncorp, Maroon and the crew. But Stefano up against Payne Haas, Mark II. Remember the words of Stefano kind of saying a few things about a few Brisbane Broncos. It feels like, in the words of Michael Jordan, I took that personally, about a few of those Brisbane Broncos. They're going to have a go at each other again.
Well, I don't know if Stefano meant those comments for Payne Haas. I know he's got a great deal of respect for him. But you know, Payne can interpret that whichever way he wants to, can't he? But he doesn't strike me as the sort of guy who needs extra motivation to perform, because he seems like one of the most self-motivated individuals in rugby league. So, you know, if he wants to use that, great. The clash alone will be fantastic.
Chammy, what with the Pacific Championships, the grand plan from the NRL about this, about how do they want to make this into something that becomes a fixture on the calendar as big as it can be? It's pretty big right now. I mean, you're nearly filling out Suncorp with no Australian team. A bunch of guys very recognisable in Australia, granted, and they've got a massive diaspora of both nations living in that part of the world. But the NRL kind of going, there's something to really build on here.
Yeah, they're pretty happy with it. I think that is the way that's gone the last couple of years, and then you throw in an Ashes series or a tour of England every few years for Australia. I think that's the perfect recipe for them. It just needs, the international game just needs to keep growing at it. Like having spoken to Tino today, I'm not convinced he won't be in a Samoan jersey next year, the World Cup. I honestly think he will be. He admitted that he was leaning towards playing for Samoa this year at the Pac Champs during his rehab when he was coming back from injury, taking his kids over to Samoa at the end of, I think, last year. He wanted to play, but the unfinished business element to playing for Australia was part of it. But I think he will be. I think there's talk today that Hammer's pledging his allegiance to Samoa going forward. Yep. And I honestly think that he will be someone who gets his chance to represent him at the World Cup. I think this could be his final hurrah for Australia at the Ashes series, and then he plays the World Cup for Samoa.
We're nearly there, Chammy. We're nearly at the end. Danny, Hammer, no shock,
mate. Well, I don't appreciate that you have to. Every time I say something, it's like it's not good enough for you, and you say we're nearly there. What was that answer not good enough? Is that not a scratch?
Your body language suggests that right now you would rather have been 2 hours into your sleep, Rip Van Winkle. So
you look like you're nodding off.
I've still got to write a story.
I don't mind this version of Michael Chammas, the sleepy version. He's far more easy to put up with. Can we give him something before every podcast just to calm him down a little bit? Maybe yoga, maybe get zen.
He looks like the lion in Madagascar when he gets whacked with that tranquilizer when he's on a rampage in New York. So
mate, he looks like Rocky Balboa from where I'm sitting. He looks like he's just hanging on. This is great. I love it. I'm loving this.
Okay. Hammer, quick one, Danny. No real shock that he's going to go play Samoa?
Yeah, good luck to him. I'm happy for him.
Okay. To round it out, let's throw to some audio from our mates at the sounding board, Damien Barrett and Craig Hutchison, talking about Danny's interlude with Charlie Curnow, the AFL player.
His ability to find the best shot is second to none in the history of news journalism. And he's gone left. So you look at the tape, a lot of younger journalists are gone right because that's a more convenient place to interview from. And he went left because he thought, if I play out in the wing here, I'll get the hang time. He's got that beautiful bent elbow action on the, which is perfected on the microphone. So he doesn't reach out hurriedly throw it in your face.
You're right.
What his style is, he tucks his elbow in and he just bends.
He's practiced that?
Tucks and bends. And then what he found himself was in everyone's picture. He wasn't just in Nine's picture. He got himself the whole way in. And he basically, you would have thought it was Danny Wilder doing a tour of the Swans with Charlie Curnow there as his sort of turtle from Entourage. And Charlie didn't realise that he was walking among royalty of framing in. So the original Hall of Famer only gets better over 20 metres than Danny Wilder in Australia. He's incredible.
So they have gone into great detail there, Danny, about your microphone technique and how you've positioned yourself. Chammy, you probably haven't heard this because you've been busy. They went into minute detail about how Danny knew that the cameraman and all the cameras of the press pack chasing Charlie Curnow from Carlton on his tour of the Sydney Swans facility were all on one side, and Danny went, yep, I'm going to get into the other lane to make sure that I'm in the line of sight of every camera that's getting a shot of Charlie walking along the street here. Masterclass.
You know what? It's a good stitch up. They've hammered me really well. I can appreciate that. If only I thought about it that much, Adam. I think I explained to you last week. The reason I went down there was because then I could get out of work a little bit early. It was near home. It was a potential bounce. And I was happy to do it for Melbourne. And I don't practice a microphone technique. Maybe I should. I can give classes in it if it's really necessary. And I didn't think about
second nature now for you.
And I'm a slow mover. I had two areas to cover, and I was fortunate enough that I think Charlie was prepared to be bounced, because if he wanted to move, I wouldn't have caught him.
But he didn't know that. He was in a new environment. But the boys Damo and Hutchie were alluding to the fact that even Charlie had respect for the great Danny Wilder, even though
I don't think that's the case at all. I think
it just must be the aura that you.
I think Hutchie's the expert at putting salt and pepper and mayo onto every single story, and lots of it.
Let's call Hutchie Captain Condiment. That he can just add everything, mustard and a bit of barbecue sauce and absolutely everything to it. So
All of that.
Chammy, you know you've made it when you have cut through in the AFL media. Okay?
Mate, honestly,
made it.
I'm embarrassed for him that he actually went out there because he's above that. He's actually above doing that.
I'm a team player,
Not fair.
Chammy. Team player.
Yeah, well,
Hey, Chammy, when you wake up, and you're almost there because I'll build the excitement for you. There is nothing like a sleep when you are horribly jet lagged because you've done the hard stuff. You've taken the first 3 get-ups in Origin, and now it becomes a lot easier, okay? You've done the hard
Chammy,
stuff.
I reckon you're about to get your second wind and you won't sleep at all.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm tipping you wrong again, like all your yarns. Anyway,
Last one. Are we? Danny, have you found out if Bulldog is the man to take you on Sundays at the Sunday Telegraph?
No, don't know. No idea. No idea.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on
We
that.
just got
well, put it this way: he's beating him over here.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Michael. When you want to lift tomorrow, we might have already left.
I'm catching the train tomorrow. Don't worry.
That's what is on the radar for tomorrow, boys. In the next couple
More
of days.
training out at one of the posh private schools here, where the Kangaroos are now doing their work from here on in. So it's about 45 an hour out of London, and they're revving up their session. So more of the same, I think.
Chammy?
And I got Chelsea Ajax tomorrow night, mate. So that should be interesting.
Hey, they're at our hotel, Ajax or whatever they're called.
Ajax. Jesus. Oh.
Is that what they're called?
He said to me today, mate. I think he goes, I think we have a good soccer team at our joint. There's a team called Ajax there.
I'm surprised you didn't call it.
Said,
There's all these guys walking in around in tracksuits in a cleaning company's logo.
Hey, the other
that was the sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, the world champion sumos are staying at our hotel. It's unreal.
Really?
They are just fascinating people to look at. They are big boys.
You don't have to pick on Bulldog again. We get it, okay? We get it.
So hang on.
Come on,
You've
Jamie.
are you in the Kangaroos
Yeah, I am.
hotel,
Yeah,
Danny?
yeah.
So we've got, in this hotel, we've got the World Championship Sumo Wrestlers,
Yep.
Ajax, one of the famous
Yep.
European football clubs, the Australian Rugby League team, and Danny Weidler.
Get lost.
Do you know what? I think there might be a good story. Hopefully no one's listening. But I actually think the Wallabies always stay at that hotel. And they're playing at Twickenham next weekend after this game. But the Kangaroos are staying at the hotel through till Thursday. So I wonder if the Kangaroos have forced the Wallabies out of their home base. And that could be something we should chase tomorrow, Danny.
Okay, well, when does his podcast drop? What time?
Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to get cracking.
Yeah, right, we've got to get moving. Hopefully you'll have a good sleep, Chammy, and be back to your normal annoying self.
I look forward to it.
It drops in a couple of hours. We are done. Michael, enjoy your sleep.
I'll be back better next week. Everyone has to have a bad day every now and then, and I haven't had one for a while, so let's bring on next week.
Yep. You were shit, but Danny, you were good. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Cheers,
Peace
everyone.
out.